I remember, Christine, that I moved into a new apartment and I've been, buying stuff and all. And somebody actually came to me and said, "Why are you buying all those things? You are a lady, you're going to get married, abandon everything and go to your husband's house." I was like, "So, excuse me." So, okay, before I get married, it means I need to live like a rat or, a church mouse simply because I'm waiting for the day that I get married and actually go to a husband's house.
Hello everyone and welcome to another iShare podcast. I'm with Chido. It's been a while since Chido came along. It's so nice to have her back. So tonight we'll be speaking as a follow-up discussion on what we had about the glass cliff, the difficulties that are faced by women in the workplace and whether they are set up to fail. So tonight we'll be giving a different perspective. I will let Chido say hi. She can tell us where she has been and then we'll get started.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much. It's good to be back after quite a long hiatus. I've been, doing the usual, public service and all, but I'm really excited to be back talking about this. So I'm just going to leave you to introduce the discussion and then we can dive right into it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chido. Well, I know where she has been doing some good work. For tonight, what we'll be speaking about is in the last discussion, what we were looking at was how women are given these roles at work, and then when they take them up, it turns out badly. So, for instance, we referenced like the lady from Yahoo, who, upon being given the role to lead turn around the company, just when Google was picking up, of course she wasn't able to do it and therefore she was fired. So we were looking at something almost like where a woman is set up for failure but through a nice thing that a nice role that she is given. So you're appointed as the managing director of the company. When the person is appointing you, is full aware that you're not going to succeed in the role that you're being given to perform. But then later on, as we were chatting with Chido, I was telling her I've also observed there's also an instance where whether it's because of culture or whether it's because of upbringing or whether it's because of, I don't know, choice, women also intentionally make it hard for them to be promoted or to succeed. So for instance, I was telling Chido, I know people, someone is given a promotion or they're given an offer to, for instance, hold a certain position, high position in the company or in the entity or in the organization. But then what they do is at first they come up with excuses. They will say, for instance, that they will not say they are not fit enough, but they'll behave in a way that you can only conclude they're not fit enough. So they will dodge the responsibilities. They will start, saying, this person should be doing this more. This person should not, be given this role if I'm going to take this role. Almost things that sound like excuses. And then I was observing that most cases is because such a person, when you investigate, they have the mentality that I'm a woman and I don't need to work hard because my dad can take care of me, or my husband can take care of me, or my boyfriend can take care of me. So somehow, because you have a backup plan, you really don't need to work hard. Chido, am I being fair, unfair, or what are your observations?
So, yeah, I think there are two sides to every story, like you have said when you started, to say that when we had this discussion earlier, we were focusing on, women who are so determined and motivated to rise up to the top, but are facing challenges. The system is not set up in a manner that allows them to flourish. And also, what we forgot, or rather failed to point out, was this other side of the flip coin, where you have got women who find themselves in those positions but don't put in 100 because they have got expectations. If I'm being very frank with you, I think a person who feels that entitled has no ambition. So those are the people that you don't find at the top because they strive to be at the top, but because they got in because of a quota system, right? So I personally have had a problem with the quota system, not because I'm against women empowerment or I'm against, equal rights and opportunities. No, 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 that's not it. But I think somebody has to earn the stripes before they are appointed to a certain position, right? So what do I mean by that? The quota system really was very famous in the political landscape, where you had, let's say, a specific number of seats solely reserved for women. So what political parties in most African countries would end up doing was they would just pick women and put them in those political posts. Nobody really cared to figure out if this person already had a political career or not. Did they have political ambitions or not? So when they get there, they are not motivated. They've got other things that they're worrying about that they would rather fix. And like you said, there's always this misconception that I'm a woman and somebody has to foot my bills and take care of me. And in some cases, it might not be that. It might just be that somebody is not ambitious enough to assume that position. So when you then put that person in power or in a specific strategic position, you obviously expect more in terms of deliverables, but you never get that because for them, they didn't want to be there in the first place. They are just a beneficiary of a system that is trying to address an anomaly, but doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, Chido, I had this exact discussion with someone who was asking me how someone who is is having difficulties performing the role they were given, and they're asking me how are they appointed. Then I was telling them it was based on affirmative action, where women were being given positions of promotions. And then the person was asking, but why didn't they look at the skills and the qualification of this person? And I was telling them this is the problem. Like, with a desire to promote women, or with the aim, very good aim, of having women get some positions, what has happened is that, one, you put people there who are not qualified at all, and this is a real life example of seeing where someone who is so incompetent is the one who is at the higher position than the male counterparts who are very qualified and who end up doing the work of this lady for them. But then the person is there and they are very arrogant about it, but also it's because they are entitled. If you ask them, they're like, but women should be given these positions. But then it has gotten to a point where, as you're saying, you wonder, should women be given quotas just because you're a woman and you're given this position? Personally, I also disagree with that. I think everyone should, as much as women are given the opportunity to lead, which I think is important, especially where in spaces where it's crowded by men, and it's in such a way that penetrating through that, like the old boys club, was difficult. Then women can be given such opportunities. But you also need to vet, or almost look at who are these women who are being given these opportunities, because it does not help either that someone who is given that opportunity is such that they are dragging down the entity, or they are dragging down the organization. But then also, I think changing the discussion a bit. So Chido and I, we are lawyers, yeah. So I remember us having this discussion where, which is a real life situation of the point I will make afterwards, is that you find that people we went to law school with worked hard, and getting to graduate from law school is pain, blood, tears. There's tears which are shed along that journey. You go through that, and then at the end of the 4 or 5 years, a person decides that I don't want to like pursue that life because it's too hard. So what I will do is I will just get someone who can foot my bills, and then I just take a laid back position. Nothing wrong with you deciding that it's a difficult life. I will look for a way out. Fine. I mean, anyone can do that. But then I realized that a majority of the people who take that route are women. Rarely will you find a man. They are there. There are men like that. Many, not a majority compared to women, but there are many men who also decide that they will take the easier way out in life and they will not work hard at all. They will rely on someone else. But in this situation, especially, I found that it was women. Someone is given all the opportunity in the world. Someone has been able to pay for school fees to go through school of law. They have been able to support you whatever you needed to go through that journey, which can be quite expensive. And then at the end, they decided, I really, this life is too hard. And I understand them, because life is hard, and they opted to get out of it. And I was telling Chido, in honesty, this is worrying, that on one hand there's someone who is pushing, even at the school admissions level, let's push more women, let's admit more women through these quotas. And then after they take this opportunity which could have been given to someone else, you just like say, I'll sit on the bench, I'm not going to pursue this anymore. For me, I really think that's problematic. But Chido, I don't know what your thoughts are.
I agree with you, Christine, and I like your perspective, especially when you give an example of law school, because that's more of a sore subject for me. So in Zim, you spend 5 years in law school, and like you said, it's blood, tears, drama, depression. So many gallons of tears later, several episodes of depression, anxiety, and almost having a borderline dual personality of some sort. You graduate, right? And what I also didn't tell you is, in Zim we also have got a restricted system of enrollment. So each university has got a very specific number of students that it has to enroll per year. Where I did my law, the law school I attended, it was actually 20 per intake. And then another university has 25, another is 16, and all that. I'm trying to show you the amount of sweating you have to do before you get a place for law in them. And then you get into law school quite all right. You study, you spend sleepless nights at the university studying and learning and all that, just so that you can kill your career like that. I mean, I have not been able to understand it. I'm all for people getting married. I'm all for people finding love and all that. But I still have not sort of wrapped my mind around this whole notion that because I'm a woman, I get married, I need to stop working so that my husband can take care of me. I'm thinking we're living in a very difficult time in terms of economics. Generally, things have become quite a bit difficult as compared to when our parents were growing up. So my mom could afford to be a stay-home mom, and my dad would send all of us to school. Good schools actually still be able to buy a house, build a house, buy a car and do all these other things. But right now, it's very possible because things are hard. The prices of everything is going up. Think about it. The Ukrainian and Russian war really had fueled the prices of petrol and diesel going up like nobody has ever witnessed in a very long time. So that, and nobody's salary got increased, by the way. People still are getting paid the same amount that they were being paid before the prices of gas went up. The point I'm trying to say is, if you guys are going to be in a relationship or in a marriage of some sort, there needs to be a pooling of resources to make sure that you actually afford the life that you deserve, right? So how then does it benefit me if I go to law school and finish and then decide now I'm just going to sit at home? So you've got one category of people like that. Then you've got another category of people. So I don't have a problem for being stay-home parents. I think that's a beautiful thing that you can do. It's a beautiful dedication you can do to your family, but it has to be with reason. You can't just sit at home and not do anything. Tried writing, if you tried starting up something, there's so much that you can do out there, not just sit, right? Your law degree, not everybody has to be a lawyer. You can get your own startup company and use your legal knowledge, to help yourself with to help your business with compliance and all those other issues. So that it doesn't necessarily follow that after going to law school you have to be a lawyer, right? You have to go to court. And then you've got people who end up settling for the mediocre jobs because they just want to appear as if they're going to deep down. They're not even concerned about the money that they're making, the amount of money that they're making, or the contribution that it makes into the home. Because for them, somebody's child has a responsibility of taking care of them. And I think that's a very good understanding, especially during the times that we're living in. So I'm saying if you decide to be ambitious right to the end and not just decide to kill, your career simply because you think somebody is going to take care of you. It's a very wrong mentality. And I don't know. I think it's quite popular in this part of the world, and I've not really figured out why.
I think across Africa, and that's what made me wonder, is it because of upbringing where when a girl knows that as I'm growing up, I have the option at the point when I get to an age I can be married. Um, I can let go of all responsibilities I have. I don't need to figure out where to live, so rent will no longer be a problem. In fact, I should not even buy myself a car. I should not even, get anything that could be put under my name, because I'm going to get married and there's going to be a man who is going to take care of me. Or if I don't get married, being a girl, you can stay at home in your parents' house, like for as long as forever. Yeah, like there are people who live there and never move out. So I think because based on that mentality, I think that's one of the things, even as we are doing the quotas and the affirmative action, it's also the mentality that will need to be changed. Because the problem, especially like as you said, in Zim, based on like how many people are being admitted to school, then someone is denied an opportunity only for you to take that opportunity and do this. So in Kenya, it's a bit different. Yeah, you can like in law school, it's based on like so there are two ways you can get to law school. You can either get the government sponsored option, which is like the very very top and bright people will get it, because and they're not normally many, because like the fees is very subsidized. But then you can also go to a private school. Either way, the minute you get into either the private school, someone is spending quite a bit to take you through the school, or if you get through the government program, it means there's someone who's denied the opportunity because you got it. And in any case, as you got there, you are a very bright person. Only for you along the way to just decide, what, life is hard. And I always, and you, because at the back of your mind, I always have the fallback plan, which is that someone can take care of me, so I'll walk away from it. So that initial discussion that we had, it was sounding as if women are like targeted for failure. But I also think women in a lot of ways can just be a hindrance to themselves. And I don't think this attitude of thinking someone will take care of you is a thing that happens globally, so that you go to London and find there's a woman there who has decided that she will never work in this day and age in 2022, because she has a boyfriend who is of equal age, and actually he is not wealthy at all. It's just that he can go to work, that she has decided she has opted out from working. He has to work, and then she has to stay at home, and God knows what she will do there. So this is very fascinating for me, because I completely, as you can imagine, I have a very different mindset. I don't think anyone should behave like that. And I think what happens is not because they have a deep desire to grow the home. If you ask me, for most of them, it's because they just want the easy way out, have someone else bear your burden, and you bear none of the burden. And I think it's a big thing that happens, especially across African countries. And I think it's a part of it is their upbringing from a very young age. You always know, like you will have a prince who will come take you. Only the problem is that the princes are normally not rich here, they are poor. So they well, yeah, not always, but most are. You have to work hard. Chido, I don't know what other comments you have on this. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, like I said earlier, I don't myself on the receiving end of attacks on social media. I think that's becoming very popular now, and then be called anti-women's rights and all. No, that's not my issue. My issue is I'm all for equality. I'm all for equal opportunities, but that we actually give the opportunities to people who deserve those opportunities while willing to utilize them. So the reason why now it almost feels like the narrative that women can't do much is not dying down is because when we do the quota system of appointment, we appoint the less competent people who end up not doing very much. And again, it reflects on every other woman out there. So the narrative won't be Christine, the one that we employed and gave this job, or be, when women are given some of these jobs, they underperform. And I think, especially for people who have got families and they're also, putting their energies into their families, we need to make sure that, we find ourselves in places where we want to be and we perform, so that it doesn't become a narrative that once a woman gets demotivated, or women who are married are not to be given specific posts because they will never they will take that for granted. I For a fact, yeah, there are firms that are allegedly, having a recruitment system that is quite weird. So I'm told that you go there and you have an interview, and if you're a lady, when do you think you're going to get married? Are you going to have children? When do you think you're going to have children? Because they think that once a woman gets married or she falls in love, her ambition dies the day that she gets into that relationship, and all of a sudden not giving 100 when she's working. And I don't think that um perspective, but I think it's because they had one or two people who came over and showed those tendencies. And I like what my boss always says. She is such an amazing lawyer who has done so well for herself, created a name for herself, and she actually does have a successful marriage with 4 kids. Christian, she told me, you can have it all, you can be ambitious, and still have a family. It's doable. Never ever think that you need to limit your options to one off or either or. So the point being, there's nothing wrong with wanting marriage, Christian, but let not marriage kill your ambition. And I don't think we're still in that era where we need to have that mentality that if things don't work for me, either my dad will chip in or my husband, whom I will find somewhere, somehow, is going to chip in. That's the same reason why you realize that in most countries, the percentage of girl children that actually go to A level in university is a bit lower when you compare it to the guys, because when they get to 16 and hormones are up and down, that's when they start falling in love, getting pregnant, pulling out of school, thinking of getting married or whatever, and end up not getting the equal chance to education that they were supposed to get into in the first place. Because I'm assuming that we are past that age where parents now have to pick, choose, and say, I'm sending my boy children to school and not my girl children. But it's because of some of the decisions that we end up making along the way that sort of put us at a disadvantage and discredit us as women, as girls, as ladies. And then it becomes quite difficult to continue being empowered. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense. So I think also it comes back again to changing the society's perspective. I remember, Christine, that I moved into a new apartment and I've been, buying stuff and all. And somebody actually came to me and said, why are you buying all those things? You are a lady, you're going to get married, abandon everything and go to your husband's house. I was like, excuse me. So, okay, before I get married, it means I need to live like a rat, or a church mouse, simply because I'm waiting for the day that I get married and actually go to a husband's house, and then he will buy the couch, and then he will buy the bed, and then he will buy the fridge and all these other issues. That's the mentality that then propels people to just wake up and go to work, but really not feeling about going to work, because they think at some point some guy is going to come and rescue them, marry them, take care of them, and then become their savior.
Chido, I completely agree with what you're saying. In fact, if you ask me, especially you see what you're saying, that one or two women have done something. They have done something that has dragged down women. From my work experience, which is diverse, but it may not be long, but it's diverse. I found it's not few women who lack ambition the minute they realize there's someone else who has come into the picture who can take care of them. It's many. And a recent experience I've had or someone has told me of such an experience where one of the ladies, she got promoted by one of those affirmative quotas. And the day she discovered she was expectant, she has suddenly decided that what is work. She has even gone as far as to say that she doesn't care whether she's demoted or what happens at work, because she now has other options, getting to the point of being that arrogant. And and I got to the point I was thinking there will be no man who can ever sit and say things like this to a boss. I'm like, so if I was a boss and I had the option to pick this girl who is speaking like this and this man, why would I go with this girl? And I was thinking, this is your own enemy, and this is not the first time I've seen this, where a lady now gets to a certain point where she realizes, you know what, I really don't need to work hard anymore. So they get all rude, arrogant, completely unravel. And then because they have this option. And then I realized it's because of the mentality. What you're saying, someone tells you, why are you shopping for your house? Because you'll get married. But so why should you, like, lead a life that is so mediocre just because one day your life is going to change? And sure enough, when that day comes, someone just throws everything away, literally, including the work that we're doing, just because they're expecting someone to take care of them. Anyway, I think the point that personally I want to make in this is that kind of attitude is one of the things that, as much as we speak about women empowerment and need for women to get equal opportunities, and women to be given a chance, about even the entire sexist discussion on especially within the African culture, which I think is very sexist. You encourage such things. As a woman behaving in this way, I think you're living up to the stereotype. You're living up 100% to that stereotype, and someone can only use you as an example and say, this is how they behave. But also this was also to give a different perspective. We're saying that sometimes it looks like women are set up to fail. Sometimes women are just failing, like they just fail, and they are failing, and I think it's intentional failure. And especially because I don't think because you've been working hard for the last 3 years, suddenly you get expectant or to get married, and you start behaving that way. I don't think it's lack of competence. I think it's just failure as a person to realize that this career, you either take it seriously, or you should not. You should take it seriously, or you should not blame anyone if it doesn't work out. So sometimes I think women actually truly just fail. Chido, you can make your closing remarks and we'll wrap it up for today.
Thank you so much, Christine. I think you've said everything that I would have said at this point, that we need to do better so that we change the narrative. We are responsible for how we are perceived. And I think also to just be mindful of some of the decisions that we make, because they might be individual choices and decisions, but how they are perceived and interpreted out there has got a ripple effect on every other woman, out there. Just as how, there's this concept that all men are dogs, and it's simply because of Peter and Luke and Stephen, who did something that was so stupid, right? But that tag follows every other guy out there, including my unborn child that I'm going to have few years from now. You get what I mean? So the point is, we still are in this fight for equality and recognition. And I think we also need to do our part and make sure that we actually do change the narrative, so that we don't find ourselves giving, again, this very same people ammunition against us. Why it's not, why they shouldn't employ women, why women shouldn't be put in certain positions. That's what I wanted to say for now. Thank you, Kristen.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chido. For anyone listening to this discussion, we appreciate you taking the time. You can share to us what your thoughts are. Listen to our initial discussion about Glasscliff, and this follow-up discussion. Let us know what your thoughts are, and whether you think women really are the real problem is they themselves, or it is because they're not given equal opportunities, or they're set up to fail. This is why you don't have women at all the like all the time being at the top, even if we do recognize that there are some very, very bright, ambitious, smart, and well-to-do women not facing any of these issues that we're discussing out there in the world, who are leaders and they're doing very well. So we do acknowledge that, but when you think on an average woman you meet on the street, are they facing more of the glass cliff situation, or are they more on the situation where they are setting themselves up to fail? But thanks a lot for listening to us, and we will do this this another time. Thank you and have a good day.